Right, I'll call our meeting to order. If you could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, roll call, please, Beth.
Commissioner Schlangen? Here. Commissioner Heinen?
Yep, here.
Commissioner Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner Kapinski?
Finally.
Commissioner Pop?
Here.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna move on to basically our one and only items today, adopting the proposed 24 property tax levy and county budget. Monty,
Sure, Mr. Chair, I would like to use this one-page summary that's in your packet and also up on the screen for a brief review of the proposed budget and levy. And it wasn't planned on covering every bullet point, just a few. Basically, the proposed budget and levy represents about a 5.5% increase over 2023, $1,255,000 increase. I like to continue to track our levy change over a 10-year basis, and that would be the second bullet down. Our 10-year average levy change is about a 1.9%, and that's illustrated in a graph that's also in your packet. One thing we also want to point out is the continued reduction in our county tax rate. It peaked at 77.74% of tax capacity in 2013. With this levy, it will fall again from 48.27 to 43.71%. We're seeing pretty substantial growth in our tax capacity. As you see there, 16.6%. So it results in continued reductions of our county tax rate. Oftentimes the question comes up about, well, what's driving the increase? And I'll drop then down to the bullet point that's in the middle of your page with all the different components that make up the increase. And certainly, Mr. Chair, compensation and benefits comprise the largest part of the increase. You can see $1.7 million. That's made up of essentially three major pieces. There's a 2.75% general wage adjustment in all of our labor contracts for 2024. Most all employees are still eligible for step increases, and those average about 3.2%. And this base budget also assumes a 13% increase in our health insurance costs. So those three elements together make up $1.7 million, or the vast majority of the levy increase. Moving on down, we're very pleased to see improved interest rates, as you've seen and have heard from our Auditor Treasurer Christine Sherbing. Instead of getting about 1% or worse on our investments, we're getting between 4 and 5%. So that's really great news and provides some property tax relief. Also, during discussions on the budget, the board had reached a consensus to abolish 3 vacant positions, and those are noted below. The budget adds a few new positions, and I'll cover those in a second. The board also added some resources for various highway maintenance accounts. I believe that include like striping, culverts, and so on. And as we're seeing, we're continuing to see the effects of inflation, price increases for those commodities, so that our highway department can maintain at least the status quo maintenance program. And a few other minor changes that make up the levy increase for 2024. Moving on down to talk about a few of the new positions. These are what we call policy issues. These are things that are over and above what we call the base budget. The board's reached a consensus to add a staff appraiser. You heard from Brian Folden and Roxanne Achman that one of the local assessors who has many different jurisdictions is planning to retire, and it's the plan of our assessor's office to bring those jurisdictions in-house and to do those appraisals with a staff appraiser rather than contracting out for a local. We're hearing that the pool of available local assessors gets smaller and smaller as fewer people enter that profession, and also because the state tightened the licensing standards for appraisers. And human service, I missed one. The board reached consensus to add a dispatcher. I know our sheriff's office has the goal of trying to have no fewer than 2 dispatchers on duty at all times. I don't believe this will quite achieve that goal, but it moves them closer of having 2 dispatchers on duty at all times by adding 1. In human services, the board reached a consensus to add an eligibility specialist. we heard about the so-called unwinding of medical eligibility redeterminations, and we received actually one-time funding to help cover the cost of this position. Also, the board reached a consensus to add a min-choice assessor as that workload continues to increase, and that is also offset by federal and state revenue. As I mentioned earlier, the proposed budget eliminates 3 vacant positions, the HR safety position, administration, a social worker, and an engineering technician in highway, which are all currently vacant. And Mr. Chair, those are the things I wanted to cover in the proposed budget and levy. The rest of the materials in your packet are simply just detail that perhaps answer a few more questions about the proposed budget and levy. And I also wanted to note here that your last page, not quite the last page, but this is the funding outside agencies that the board recently discussed. There are few having any changes. Actually, we can see a nice reduction in library of 3.1%. The one area where there was a larger increase was the Central Minnesota Emergency Services Board, and that is a joint powers agreement. So we're certainly obligated to fund that increase as long as we wish to be a member. Mr. Chair, I believe that's it. Happy to answer any questions.
All right,
Comments from
questions
board
for Monty?
members?
Commissioner Pop?
Is our health insurance rate, is that a lock? Have we heard from them, or is that just an estimate?
You're gonna get a renewal recommendation from, let me answer your question first. This was the best estimate I had when this was prepared.
Okay.
You're gonna get a renewal recommendation from Marsh McLennan, October, your first meeting in October.
Okay.
And that's gonna be the one we're gonna ask the board to adopt.
Okay. The only reason I ask is because we had a 7% decrease in the library health insurance.
Yeah, I wish we could say that's true for us.
Yeah, but we're
But
self-funded.
our reserves were decimated and we need to rebuild them. So, yeah.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chair,
Kapinski?
when it comes to like a hard position to fill, is there a way that they could still, go out for, advertisement, even though we don't have to hire or anything like that? Like one of the positions we took away in talking with Chris, we're gonna end up paying for it either way.
Right.
Whether we subcontract it out or not, and these positions are very hard to fill.
Engineering tech positions are definitely a challenge to fill, that's for sure, right, yeah.
I kinda come from the old school where, God, maybe we just keep advertising, might be 6 months down the road, but this gem falls in our lap, and at that point, we can take another look at that.
I think that's a possibility to have a continuous recruitment. Although I guess officially the board will have abolished the position, so you'd have to make a decision, do you wanna bring the position back?
Yeah, and I'm not saying that would happen, but I'm just saying if somebody falls into our lap that's really good, let's leave in
Yeah.
Mille Lacs County or something, we would sure hate for somebody that lives in our county or around it to be able to
Right.
move on just because we abolished it.
Commissioner Pop?
That's true because, and it should be an offset because we're gonna hire out.
Yep.
So you should be able to offset that, so I think we could look at that.
Well, I think in my opinion, in those particular situations, there's probably nothing that precludes department heads from coming in and asking
Yeah.
about
Yeah,
that in the future.
correct.
Because the answer could still be no.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I think it's important to note that this is a proposed budget levy, and there's still opportunities between now and the end of December to make revisions.
And as you always like to remind us, this would be setting the maximum amount.
This
So if we
sets
have
the
future
maximum levy.
discussions going
Yep,
forward, it can be lowered.
It can be lowered, and you can also, of course, make changes to the budget side of things. You can't increase the levy.
Right.
But you could do some things on the budget side.
Yep.
Between now and the end of December.
Okay,
Yep.
Commissioner Pop?
Well, I just was gonna make it known, I'm not real happy with not using any more of the new county program aid. I don't think that was what the county program aid was established for, and we kinda, we should be using some of that maybe to offset this. We have till December to work that out.
Well, and that may be something we have a little future discussion on
Right.
going forward. Commissioner Heinen?
And I agree with you, Commissioner Pop, but that might be the ticket for us for hiring another engineer too, though.
That's correct.
And that's the way I look at it.
All right, any other questions, comments? We're gonna need a motion to approve the preliminary.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the resolution setting the proposed 2024 levy at $23,840,162.
Okay.
Hope I read that right. I had my glasses off.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve that levy. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
I,
Opposed? It's carried. Date and time for truth and taxation public
I
meeting.
didn't hear you adopt the budget. Did I just miss it?
We just
no, we've
did.
gotta do that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Motion.
I'm sorry.
I'll make another motion. Approve a resolution establishing the proposed 2024 Benton County budget as presented.
I'll second that again.
Motion and a second to approve that proposed budget. Any other discussion on the budget? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. Truth and taxation meeting. We need to set it.
Yes, could you just please all we need to do is just make the announcement.
Okay.
You don't need to set it, you just make the announcement, it goes in the record. Yep.
Isn't it December?
10th.
We do have a date though already, don't we?
Yep. So again, could you just make that announcement?
Yeah, so we will have our truth and taxation meeting on December 10th.
Yes, and date, time, and place?
It's December
6
7th.
o'clock.
Do we have our dates wrong?
Could be.
I'm sorry, it's that first
7th.
Thursday,
The
did I have
10th
the
is the-
date wrong in the agenda item?
Thank you. December 7th. At what time?
6 o'clock.
6 PM
6 PM.
here in the
the
county
boardroom.
boardroom. Thank you, sir.
County
Yeah, and
boardroom.
again, that goes, it's just,
Thank
we're statutorily obligated to make that announcement at this meeting.
Okay,
Yep,
thank you.
Yep.
All right. Anything else?
I think we, while you're all here, we wanted to try and reschedule the October 9th.
Should we- Okay,
Really?
that's on me. My apologies. I was the one who brought that date up as an option, and I got home and my bride reminded me that my daughter's getting married the day before and family will be there. So I got a little
Yeah, but
hand
that's the
slap.
day before.
I got a little hand slap about that.
24 hours only.
Yeah.
So,
20.
is the MC, the 16th is the MC district. How about the 10th then? October 10th? Is that's a Tuesday?
I could do that. I would have to leave here at 10:25.
That doesn't work then. There's a lot on that agenda, yeah. Well, let's see.
The 11th, or you don't want to get into Wednesday?
I got Mike on the 11th.
Okay.
Okay,
In person.
16th is the MC District 5 meeting in Stearns County, 17th board meeting.
18th.
That's the week I'm out in DC with APO.
Yeah, okay.
I regret it.
You have- you have conferences?
I plan on being out that following week to go make a trip to Kansas.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about Wednesday the 4th, next Wednesday?
I have a commitment.
I suppose the second is too early.
Monday the 2nd?
This coming month.
No,
I know we've got something at 1. We've got a meeting in the afternoon. We're talking about raise grant. in the
Correct.
afternoon. So they have to be the morning then.
Won't work?
No, Monday morning won't work for me.
Okay.
What about the 30th?
We have a call on the 9th.
You talking October?
That's the one that's the one we're changing.
Oh, we're canceling the 9th.
Yes, we are canceling.
What about the 30th?
Did we say no to the 23rd already for something?
Nope.
I apologize.
The 23rd is
out
the
of
week you're
town.
gone.
I'm
Yeah.
gone
Okay.
to- Yeah, Kansas. right.
30th works for me.
Works for me.
The 30th,
October 30th?
October 30th,
Okay.
October 30th, okay, at,
8:30, Commissioner Pop? Okay, so we'll move the 9th to the 30th.
thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
We'll formally acknowledge that as your next board meeting.
All right, we are adjourned at 8:41. We'll get into our call right away.